mother called after her son from the far distance. The mother called after her son from the far distance. She went out in front of the house, calling, and she loosened her hair's thick knot, which the dusk wove to a dense, stirring veil, a valuable robe sweeping the earth, wove to a stiff and heavily flaring mantle, a banner for the wind with 10 black tassels, a shroud, the fire-slashed, blood-heavy twilight. She twisted her fingers among the fine tendrils of the stars, the moon's suds bleached her features, and she called after her son shrilly, as she called him long ago, a small child. She went out from the house, talking to the wind, and spoke to the songbirds, her words overtaking the wild geese going in couples, to the shivering bulrushes, to the potato flower in its pallor, to the clenched bald bulbs rooted so deeply, to the fragrant, shadowy sumac. She spoke to the fish where they leaped playfully, to the momentary oil rings, mauve and fleeting. You birds and branches, hear me. Listen as I cry. Listen, you fishes and you flowers. Listen, I cry to be heard. Listen, you glands of the pumping soils, you vibrant fins, you astral seeding parachutes. Decelerate, you humming motors of the saps. Screw down the whining taps in the depth of the atom. All iron pelvis virgins, sheep alive under cotton. Listen as I cry. I'm crying out to my son. And her cry climbed in a spiral. Within the gyre of the cosmos it ascended, her limbs glancing in the light rays like the skid-scaled flanks of a fish, or a roadside boil of salt or crystal. The mother called out to her son, "Come back, my own son, come back. I am calling your calm harbor. Come back, my own son, come back. I am calling your pure fountain. Come back, my own son, come back. I am calling the breast where your memory sucked. Come back, my own son, come back. I am calling your almost sightless lamp. Come back, my own son, for this world of spiky objects has put out my eyes. My eyes are sealed under yellow-green bruises. My jaw contracts. My thighs and my shins are skinned. From every side, things batter in on me like crazed rams. The gate, the post, the chair try their horns on me. Doors slam against me like drunken brawlers. The vicious electricity snaps at me. My scaling skin leaks blood, a bird's beak crushed with a rock. Scissors slither off like spider crabs of nickel. The matches are sparrow feet. The pail hacks back at me with its handle. Come back, my own son, come back. My legs no longer lift me like the young hind. Festering blooms open on my feet. Gnarled tubers screw into my purpling thighs. The skin over my toes glazes to bone. My fingers harden. Already the flaking flesh shells off like slate from weathered geologic formations. Every limb has served its time and sickens. Come back, my own son, come back, for I am no longer as I was. I am a used-up shadow from the inner visions that flare through the thickening organs like an old cock's crowing on winter dawns. From a fence of shirts, hanging, bored, frozen. I am calling your own mother. Come back, my own son, come back. Force new order onto the anarchic things. Discipline the savage objects. Tame the knife and domesticate the comb. Because now I am only two gritty green eyes, glassy and weightless like the dragonfly, whose winged nape and moth which you know so well, so delicately clasped. Two crystal apples in the green illuminated skull. I am two staring eyes without a face, seeing all and one with the earthly beings. Come back, my old son. Come back into place. With your fresh breath, bring everything again to order, into place. In the remote forest, the boy heard. He jerked up his head in an instant, his spread nostrils testing the air, his soft dewlap throbbing, the veined ears pointing tautly to that lamenting music, as to the still tread of the hunter, as to the hot wisps fronding from the cradle of a forest fire, when the skyline trees smoke and begin to whimper bluely. He turned his head to the old voice, and now an agony fastens on him, and he sees the shag hair over his buttocks, and he sees on his bony legs the cleft hooves that deal his track, sees where lilies look up in pools, low-slung hair-pursed buckballs. He forces his way towards the lake, crushing the brittle willow thickets, haunches plastered with foam that spatters, too, on the earth at his every bound. His 4 black hooves rip him apart through a slaughter of wild flowers, sock a lizard into the mud, throat ballooned and tail sheared, till he reaches the lake at last and looks in at its lit window that holds the moon, moving beech boughs, and a stag staring at him. For the first time, he sees the bristling pelt covering all his lean body, hair over knees and thighs, the transverse tasseled lips of his male purse, his long skull treed with antlers, bone boughs bursting to bone leaves. His face closely furred to the chin, his nostrils slit and slanted in. The great antlers knock against trees, roped veins lump on his neck. He strains fiercely, stamping. He tries to put out an answering cry, but in vain. It is only a stag's voice belling in the throat of this mother's son. And he scatters his son's tears, trampling the shallows to drive out that lake horror, scare it down into the whirlpool gullet of the water dark, where glittering little fishes flicker their laces, miniature bubble-eyed jewelry. The ripples smooth off into the gloom, but still a stag stands in the foam of the moon.